Talking about the flamenco technique called the picado. Picado is basically very similar to what is considered a rest stroke in classical playing, except we have some differences when it comes down to how we actually attack the string. First things first, the most important thing is the actual attack, how you actually approach the string. You always want to be very comfortable when you sit. That's one of the main things. Also, we kind of want to start playing the strings one by one with I and M, and then also alternating, but not really playing up the string like this, rather than playing in the string. So kind of pushing in before you actually make the attack. Playing like this is not really going to help you with speed. You know, you want to kind of have this thing going where you're kind of playing very staccato. You know, it's a combination between the third and the first joint. The first joint is going to move whether you like it or not, but the third joint here is in a sense doing a little bit more of the work, as you can see. And I'm also attacking from above. I'm not playing flat like this, and I'm not playing too up either. So you kind of want to think about having this type of shape in your hands when you're playing, because you're going to get the best attack. Okay, so when you're actually playing, you know, when you curve your fingers out, kind of start looking like this, because it's definitely impossible to play like that. You're not really going to make contact with the same string. So you kind of just want to curve them in like this, and when you tilt your hand slightly, it helps. So it's 4 notes. The trick is, if you have a metronome going, basically you're trying to make the 4 notes on the last 16th note. So you're trying to fit them in. You know, it's almost like playing 1/16th note, you know, in a bar, the last 16th note, but you're playing 4 instead of 1. So that's what gives you the burst. So you're never on the beat. If this is the beat, you know, you're playing. And so on and so forth. So the key with this is to not start playing them like this, like I said, you know. It's really difficult to get speed because you're making too much movement and your fingers are basically so far apart that it takes more time for one to come back, you know. So you kind of want to just, once you play a string, the other finger's already planted, you know, ready for the next one. That's kind of like the mechanism you want to get used to. So once you do that, you go to 5 notes. Now 5 notes is really good to practice because you're always going to be playing the first one, let's say with I, the second one's going to fall on M. So you're always alternating. You're not starting with the same finger. So you would be playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then now you have to start with N. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now back to I. And it's the same concept. You know, you're not fitting 5 notes in a beat. You're basically putting them all the way at the end. So. And so on and so forth. And the last one, you know, you go to 6, for example. And what I like to do with that is kind of cool is I take a, you know, arpeggio or a chord pattern or whatever it is, and I start playing around the key tone. So in this case, for example, let's take a D minor arpeggio, which would be A, F, D. Then we just repeat that. A, F, D. concept. So you're basically doing the same thing. Now, what I would like to do in the beginning is just, for example, just get to this much of it. So, now once I do that for a while and get comfortable with that portion of it, you know, I'll move on to the next portion, which is, for example, these 6 notes. Then I'll try to split them up with throwing in like a hammer-on or a pull-off. Then, you know, start doing the whole thing. One last exercise I want to drop you is something I learned from Manolo Sanlúcar, which is a really cool pattern. And you can take, again, anything you want. I'm going to stick to E since we're here. And what we're going to do is we're going to move up each string, starting with the I finger. So we're going to play like we talked about, pushing in, and we're just basically playing each string. Then we move to the M finger. Then A. Once we get that, now we're going to use I and M together, but always playing the first string twice. The reason why we play the first string twice is because next time around you have to start with the other finger. So if you started with I, now you're going to start with M, just so it's not the same repetition. So we would be doing. Anyway, then we do the same thing with M and A.